Kris Krohn here, and today we're talking about your financial decisions in life. Are they stupid? Are you being cheap at times? Are you being too luxurious? It's all going down right now. So I was laughing so hard when I was watching Streit's latest video from Minority Mindset that's all about, am I cheap or am I stupid? And I thought, wow, that is such a fascinating concept, and yet when he talked about it, it started reminding me about all the cheap, stupid things, both cheap or stupid things that I'm doing. So I thought I'd do a little bit of follow-up on it. And if you haven't seen Streit's video, click up here because it is hilarious, and ultimately it's creating a really good message. And I want to share my message with you because I got to tell you that from like one of the most disruptive things that happened when I first got married, this is going to sound really pathetic of me, but I'm going to share it anyway. My wife and I, we had moved into this tiny little basement apartment 16 years ago after we get married, right? And we're just trying to figure out how to live together, right? We're trying to figure out married life. We're trying to figure out how to allocate our money because we had very little of it. So we'd shop at Walmart and we'd get our shampoos and conditioners, and we would get to the end of the bottle, you know, where you're pumping on the shampoo or the conditioner and less is coming out, and my wife automatically reaches for a fresh bottle. And I'm like, what are you doing? That is so stupid. There's still plenty of material in there. So I showed her, it's like, you unscrew the lid, you put it up to the shower nozzle, you get it in there, you screw it back on, you shake it up, and you got another week or two worth of, and I don't know what it is, but with shampoo and conditioner, yeah, I get it, I'm diluting it, but it seems like I can make it stretch 3 times longer than it would just go on your own. And my wife and I used to have the craziest arguments. She'd look at me like, Kris, you are so dumb. And so still today, I look at it because I got a lot more money than I've ever had before. And I know that there's always going to be enough resource for everything that I need. And yet still in the shower this morning, I was checking my watch. I'm like, I don't have time today, but I'm going to schedule time tomorrow in the shower. I'm going to take 30 seconds and I'm going to take these 2 different conditioners that are both at their end of their wits, and I'm going to combine them together, and I'm going to make like another bottle of conditioner. I'm probably trying to save, I don't know, 50 cents, 30 cents, 28 pennies, but I'm dedicating my time to this. And that's what Strait was talking about. Like, am I being cheap or am I being stupid? I want to give you a little bit more of a serious version of this, and then I want to kind of answer. It's like, can you think of things that you do where you know you're just being cheap? Or is it just stupid because you're being cheap, right? You know the difference there? Cheap actually landed me in a really sweet place financially because, yeah, I might be cheap on my shampoo and I might be cheap on my conditioner, but when it came to real estate, I got a virtue that from being, you know, frugal or cheap, if you will, because I wanted to find properties that were loaded with equity. At the time when I bought my first property, I was making less than $20,000. $18,000 was what I made my first year, $18,700 and something, a small amount of money, and that was working full time. And it was more money than I'd ever made before. So on the one hand, I'm grateful, but now I'm an adult and it's still not covering the bills. And I'm like, dude, this is so weird. I'm making more money than I've ever made before, and yet it's not covering even the really basics very well. And I'm actually sliding backwards. So when I got into real estate, I applied that mindset. And when I found a house that had $40,000 of equity, I'm like, that's more than twice what I make in an entire year. I mean, I can't take it to the bank because it's locked in the equity and the bricks in the home, but in time I'll be able to get that out and cash flow it and use this here and do these different things. And cheap ended up being kind of a neat virtue. I would call that smart cheap, right? But then there's also stupid cheap, probably like my conditioner. I want to share with you a different example though. So obviously I've gone on and I bought a lot of real estate. A few years ago, I've wanted to have this experience. For years I've been driving BMWs, Cadillacs, nice cars, right? Currently I'm driving a BMW i8. It's the most expensive BMW that they make, and I love the Falcon Wing doors, and I like how I feel when I'm in this car. And apparently a lot of other people like it too, because I've been driving it now for the last couple of years, and I still get these crazy random thumbs up and excitement, and people are honking their horns. I was like, is someone upset? No, people are just excited about the car. And yet a few years earlier, I went and bought a Hyundai Veloster, which by the way is a cute little peppy little car. But you know, we're talking like a $20,000 car versus a, you know, $150,000 car. There's a big disparagement between that. And I actually bought this Hyundai Veloster that I couldn't quite fit in to turn my head sideways. And I drove this car for a few years. I drove it. It had nothing to do with money. It had to do with a reminder for me to stay grounded in what is money. And it really pulls in this conversation of having the really nice things in life and then knowing when to be totally on the cheap. And then we'll talk about what stupid is. And you bring all that together, and I was driving this Hyundai, and every day I drove it, it was a blessing of a reminder of like, you could buy nicer, you could afford more. You're not trying to necessarily save money. But it was this message of stay grounded, stay humble, and stay who you are. And every time I drove in it, I didn't enjoy it very much from the point of view of it was very uncomfortable. My head was cranked to the sideways. I mean, it was really, you Google it, man. It's a small little car for a big guy like me. I'm on video, so I'm on your small screen, but I'm nearly 6'4", so kind of tall, right, for a small little car like that. The 2 years that I had it, there was a lot of moments of gratitude because every time it was uncomfortable, every time I found myself not liking it, I thought to myself, it's okay. What am I learning? What does this car have in store for me? And ultimately, I think what I learned is that it's not about whether you're cheap. It's not even about the whole stupid side. What I've come to grips with is the fact that I used to be very accumulation mindset oriented. Accumulation is, I was young and I thought if I have a certain amount of money, then I don't have to have a job. And so that ended up equating to $1.6 million of net worth in real estate, a 6-figure residual income. I quit my job and then I went on to accumulate more and more and more. And then over a decade ago, I built this 10,000 square foot home on the golf course right outside the canyon, driving whatever cars I want and traveling and supporting this really wonderful lifestyle. But as times pass, what I've really come to realize is that accumulation, will you really ever have enough? It's always waiting for someday. It's always waiting for some future moment when you can say, I have all the money that I've wanted. Instead, there's a different mindset that I've cultivated, which is, how do I be present? How do I allow the resources that I either possess or have access to, how do I appropriately leverage them in the present moment to bring about inspired choice, to bring about what feels right, or the highest and best version of the moment? And for just a moment, go here with me. I feel like there's a highest and best way to spend every moment. There's a lame way, and there's an okay way, there's a good way, and then there's a highest and best way. Like in this moment, what can I do right now that would serve me or other people in the highest and best fashion possible? Ultimately, what it's done is it's transformed my mindset that it's not about accumulating or having. The only major concern is, am I utilizing my resources in a manner that I can do what feels most inspiring in this moment? That's meant that I've had to deviate from some of my accumulation methodologies, and I'm now going to call some of them stupid. Not cheap, stupid. Meaning, are we really here to get gain? Are we really here to see how much we can accumulate? Because last I checked, there is no U-Haul going to heaven. Right? I know, I went to Egypt. I actually went to Ramses, Valley of the Kings, and actually saw all the loot that was left that didn't go with the king into the next life like he thought it would. At the end of the day, it's not really about what we accumulate or how much we have. It's also not about being cheap. Let's definitely not be stupid. But I think it's all about how do I allocate my resources in a way that bring me joy? I get joy out of using every drop of the conditioner. That's why I do it. It's not about having more money or, it's about honoring the resource. Sometimes the resources that I tap into are lavish, and sometimes the resources are really simple. And some person over here might call me cheap, someone else over here might call me stupid. And if I separate from what everyone else thinks, the question is, what is the best way for me to honor the resources that feel inspired in this moment? And that's what I wanted to share with you today on this concept of, am I being cheap? Am I being stupid? How do you honor your highest and best self? Do that. Because sometimes you're going to go against the grain. Sometimes you're going to do things that don't make sense to other people. And that's okay as long as you're honoring you. Sometimes I'm cheap. Sometimes I'm stupid. Right now, don't be either of those. Subscribe, ring the bell, and we'll get more of this awesome action coming your way.